You're listening to the 14th Source for all geeky and nerdy news and discussion, which means that you're listening to a podcast.
For all intents and purposes.
I am D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And we are your two overeducated, codependent nerd hosts, bringing you the things that we like to talk about, but filtered through inquisitive and critical lenses. In the episode for Friday. Oh God, November 7th? No. 7th?
Remember the 7th of November.
Oh, yes, everybody's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
November 7th of November, November 7th, however you want to say it, 2025. And it's been a minute. It's been even longer than a minute than we had originally intended. Because I don't know how to save files.
It's actually really funny. We recorded an episode last week that was essentially it's going to be this week's episode.
Yes.
And we're like, woo, we're done. High fives. Yep. And then literally at the end of it, you're like, oh, fuck. You're like, what, Dad? What happened? What did you do?
I just closed the recording thinking it was a different program and did not save anything that I recorded. So for those that don't know, the reason why, I mean, there's many reasons why, but one of the main reasons why we sound so good is that we're not recording a phone call. That Andrew on his end, because he lives in the Seattle, I live in the Sacramento, very far from each other. We cannot be in the same room very often. And so he records his end of the conversation. I record my end of the conversation. And then whoever's job
one of us puts it together, yeah.
Puts it together. And we have, you might have heard of the clap. That's what lines everything up.
Whoa.
Okay, well, yeah, there's two. One of these should have been talked about in high school
already. Don't just yell on the podcast. And we have the clap.
We have the clap. And we have the clap to guide us. And so we make it clap so that we can see spikes in our audio forms and line everything up. And so for that to work, both of us have to adequately not only record but save our respective files. And so I did not do that. I just decided, you know what? Let's close this and not save it. And then I realized that I'm done.
Wow, that we did like a behind the scenes right there. You know,
we never do that.
If this were a YouTube series, we'd be like, oh look, here's us editing an audio or something, right? Yeah. So, and actually, the reason why it's funny saying that is, I think for years people thought we like got together every week. To the point where I think you once told a story of friend of the show, Kyron, came to your home in like your room where you do your recordings. Like, so this is where you guys do it, right? And it's like, well, no, I mean, guess it's where I do it. Andrew does it from his place in Seattle. It was like, oh, he's in Seattle? Like, yeah, I think we've said that, but I'm glad that you don't. But I mean, it's quite a few people didn't realize, right? That like we are miles apart. Like,
do not forget that we were once featured on a best Sacramento nerd show podcast list at some point. Again, someone not realizing that 50% of our show does literally not take place in Sacramento.
Right. Which is, I mean, it's fun. I don't mind being a cultural heritage of Sacramento. I don't mind being a representative of the Sac cultural community.
I got your portrait up at City Hall, so
yeah, I don't really go to Sacramento.
I'm not even in there.
The last time I went was before we recorded this first episode of this podcast. So
that's right.
I'm glad that I'm a treasure of a city that I don't go to.
That was in a completely different place that we lived in, and we've lived in this current house for 13 years.
Yeah, no, it's been a long road getting from there to here.
There we go. Star Trek reference right off the bat. It was also particularly upsetting.
It's like, oh, what happened? Because, well, as it ends up, friends, we thought last week we recorded our final episode. We said, hey, you know what? We're both old. We're busy. And you know what? Like it gets hard, as you've noticed. We weren't banging it out every week. It gets harder, and we're like, let's maybe just wrap it up. Stop setting the expectation. You know, we even said we could come back and do holiday episodes or whatever. Like, fine, sure, but let's not pretend like we're still able to keep the tempo we did when we were younger. And I say that comically, like it's not like we're less healthy. I mean, we're both less healthy because we're old, but. like it's only been 11 years,
Yeah, right. There's a difference between two guys just ostensibly starting new careers, kind of figure out. We had time in our early 30s, and now we are in our mid 40s and don't.
Well, it's funny you say we were starting our career back in 11 years ago, and now we're like, whoa, both our careers are going to shit. So,
and so like that's the big part of it. I'll take whatever blame there is. There's no blame. Like I think we're heading on a trajectory anyway. But like personal stuff, like family stuff, the job stuff, other sort of just momentous, like Long John is finally ending this year, or actually next year. But a lot of things are kind of happening at once, and not to even to mention the political climate that like we got together to record, and I'm like, I don't think I have any hot takes left, Andrew.
Right.
Like I just don't. I kind of don't care.
So we're both going to start our own separate podcasts.
Right. And I just want to have my hot takes so I don't have to fucking hear your bullshit about... No.
And I want to make it very clear, we're not breaking up.
No. That's the next thing. Like, as soon as I said that, Andrew was like, that's fine. Let's stop. But we're still going to hang out like every week or so, right?
Because I actually was like, I don't know, how do I do like a YouTube series whenever I hear that's the hotness? And I was like, why am I thinking about doing that? Like, I don't know. I like suffering. But but like if, we're still bestest friends.
Of course, yeah. So like that's, if anything, that's the choice. It's like, I just want to hang out with Andrew more and just bullshit and complain.
Not worry about saying something people care to hear about.
That's because that's been the thing. Like, with everything that's been going on, like we're texting, or like we get on the phone, we get on FaceTime, and I'm like, I literally haven't done anything nerdy just because I'm grading or prepping for class or dealing with the shit, and so it's like I'm
busy with life.
How long can we let this go and still call it a show?
Well, and I actually, funny enough, since we recorded our last episode,
yes, that was for us.
I was thinking about this a bit, and I think I mentioned it last week that we didn't record.
Right.
One of the things is I find as I've gotten older, and an influence of you and our other friends, I'm like a lot more accepting of stuff. Like I'm just a lot more like, yeah, that was fine. Like, and the thing is that the internet, the machine is fueled by like rage and hot takes.
Yep.
And our takes, like more often than not, have turned into, that was fine, I liked it, which I'm as a person, I'm glad that I like things more. Like I don't go on the internet and complain about how someone ruined my favorite franchise or whatever.
Right. My child is ruined now.
But no one, like, weirdly enough, the idea of a show where it's just two old white guys saying they like things, that doesn't move the needle. Yeah.
No. And then it came to the point, it's like, do we care about moving the needle? We are but, a speck in Carl Sagan's sky of white nerd podcasts, right? Commentating on news and opinions. And like, maybe there are younger, more vibrant people that have things to say, but like we've said a lot, we've done a lot. I'm really proud of everything we've done. Sure, we've had good shows, we've had bad shows for a variety of reasons, but like, there's nothing to be sad about. 11 years is more than most things can say.
Well, what's funny is so many people are like, wait, you were doing this for 11 years, for 10 years? Right? It's like, yeah. And like, oh, how many listeners do you have? And you're like, oh, 2.
Don't worry about it. We got our dear listeners, and that's all that matters.
But it was funny because, so many people are shocked. Like, wait, you keep doing this thing? Like, yeah, we've always done it. Mm-hmm. And I know you and I for years have spoken how it was really just a justification for us to talk to each other, to spend time with each other. But we're like, oh, may as well let the friends on the internet hear it, So yeah, it's a weird thing, and I will say it's I've had a wonderful time being with you, but also like,
of course,
the idea that like it has shaped my opinion. Now when it I will say I work at a university where sometimes like, we pay someone to put together a podcast, and I'm always kind of like, why are we paying him that much? Like, I'm like, that's something I did in my bedroom once a week.
We have been underperforming for years.
Like,
wait, in the bedroom especially.
Okay, that was good. But like the idea that and we, we both kind of like leaned into like, well, we got to do this better. We both bought nicer microphones. We both like tried to be better at the craft. With the realization that, because again, most people, popular podcasts, sometimes you listen to it sounds like they're at the bottom of a fucking well. Right. And you're like, I was there, right? I had the room that acoustics forgot.
Listen to that first episode. It was interesting.
But yet, suddenly it's this idea that like we were okay at it. I'm not saying we're great. Like our content sucked, but our editing was spot on.
For what it's worth, like I would say our content was always operating at a certain level. Again, depending our own demeanors, there was a margin of error. But there was a good like span of maybe a couple of years when we were kind of making a go for it. We weren't like quitting our day jobs or anything, but like we bought the website. We were putting up articles and regularly and having different features and stuff like that. And like that was super fun. And then we kind of realized like that's great, but if it didn't catch by now, like why kind of keep doing it? But again, it came back to the fact that what the show is ultimately about and what our friendship is ultimately about is
well, the show is about friendship.
Yeah, exactly. And just getting together regularly. And that's, I would say, since we last recorded the thing again, like when we last recorded our first final episode, the thing I've been thinking about is I think it seems to be kind of common in our generation, and whatever, again, margin of error you want to have for that in terms of a couple years older, a couple years younger, that I think one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with, and things when talking to friends that we've all been dealing with to a certain extent, is that being friends isn't as easy as it was when we were kids. Being a friend with someone has become like an appointment culture. Like I actually need to make sure I plan to call this person at a regular interval so that I can actually talk to them. Like texting does not replace that. That putting a thumbs up on a post on social media doesn't replace an actual interaction. And that it might be sad to say like, oh, I'm kind of excited to have like appointments to talk with Andrew. That doesn't have to require us to record it and edit it and like make a post and put links in the post and all that shit. Like, but at least I get to make sure I'm talking to a friend every week or so, depending on how our schedules are going, right? I realize how important just being in contact with the people I care about is, and how easy it has been over the last 5, 6, 10 years. It's been to like let those relationships just kind of like, oh shit, I haven't talked to this person in a year. Like I haven't literally talked to a friend of mine in over a year. How did that happen? Whether you need a podcast as an excuse to do that, or take 11 years of the podcast to realize like, I just like talking to my friend on a regular basis, like then it's all worth it. And I'm really glad that we got the opportunity to have an excuse, though we don't need an excuse, to get together and just shoot the shit. And ultimately, your dream came true. We just talk about Star Trek all the time.
I was thinking about that. Just Star Trek. The idea that, when we started this, you had not seen the Star Treks, and we used to do like, hey, just watch this episode. Yeah. And, now here we are, and you're burning your way through 1990s Star Trek.
The best.
Pretty solidly, and also 2025 Star Trek, or 24.
You might see us again when season 4 of fucking Strange New Worlds drops, is all we're saying, dear listeners.
So it's kind of this fun thing. We started with this and got to that, and here we are.
And kind of to that point of like where we started versus where we ended. Obviously, things have changed. But one of the things I'm most proud of is like, I think we kind of went into this with ostensibly a vision, not an editorial vision. It's an editorial vision in as much as like we just are who we are. Mm-hmm. But at the beginning of our show, our show was super strange. We regularly had, I think, between 4 and 5 segments every episode.
And we would like insert little like what ostensibly would be commercial breaks. Like basically, we were just chasing Blue Apron before Blue Apron was a thing.
We're like burning through topics in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Like that's insane.
Dad, what do you think about this? It's great. Okay, next topic, asshole.
But one of the things that I was super excited about, because I was really excited about, writing about nerd culture and trying to get my voice out that way, is that I had my segment, The Boasts of Bethel.
Prepare yourself for the boasts of Bethel.
And you had for a while Andrew objects.
Yeah, because I was licensed to practice law. I still am.
There we go. See, some things never change.
I still pay the dues every year. That's all it is.
If that's all it takes. On the very first episode, I did a boast of Bethel. That was basically a statement of purpose for how I wanted to treat the show. And listening back to it, I was kind of impressed that 11 years later, we were still kind of doing the thing, right? And so there's like an excerpt I'd like to read where it is, it's kind of how I wanted to, the sort of critical lens to go to the opening that I wanted to approach the show with. And I think we kind of held our ground there, where I said, over the last few years, this trend of blatant, unthoughtful, and unsupported opinions broadcast over the internet by fellow nerds has caused as much trouble as good. That still hasn't changed. From that, I would like to distinguish myself, and I should say by extension, ourselves. And for you to know that I will always approach these topics through the following lens. The nature of personal expression today is harrowing. In the age of the internet, we seem to be hyper aware of the fact that we have opinions and we reserve the right to share them. This causes a lot of problems and really feels, in the case of knee-jerk reactions in the nerd and geek community, that it's reaching a boiling point. Again, this is also before Gamergate and all this shit. Jesus Christ. But mostly it's full of useless declarations. For the sake of everybody, let's try to elevate the discourse above simple name-calling. Instead of operating under the auspice of everybody just throwing opinions out there just to see what sticks, or, to be more accurate, to see what people react to. Let's try taking some responsibility as the shepherds and innovators of the medium, and treat our multitudinous avenues into the internet as invitations rather than shotguns. I'm D. Bethel, and this has been my boasting. And now back to the show.
Wow. Sorry, are you done reading that? Because it is kind of like a little bit of yikes, right? Like, wow.
I will say for us, for as maybe stupid as we got, maybe sometimes we came to the microphone a little either under the weather or in bad moods or whatever. But I don't think we ever allowed ourselves to descend into just like simple name calling to simple hot takes.
Well, I mean, obviously we didn't because we never got more than 100 listeners. Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Which, and this is actually, it's weird you said that before we talked about the algorithm, right? Like not us, but like the idea that, having hot takes and bad opinions, that became the currency of everything, right? Like your YouTube or your whatever, your twits, your shits, I guess they're called now.
Definitely not your truths.
Your truths, whatever. Like they get traction because it's a hot take. Right. Because it's you're saying like, oh, I think someone pooped in their mouth. No one wants to read. I like that. It's all about how someone ruined my life, or how Kathleen Kennedy is the Antichrist, or how Alex Kurtzman hates humanity, or whatever, or Russell T. Davies is the Antichrist. They're all the Antichrist.
Or David S. Goyer wants She-Hulk to do strange things.
Well, that was a thing that actually happened.
Our very first episode.
No, so it's funny because you wrote that and spoke that really before Gamergate, before it seemed like that was the dominant way to do it, and here we are. I guess really what I would say is, despite our best efforts, we lost.
But we can say at the very least we did a podcast for all intents
we stood by our principles.
Something we didn't do in our last episode that I would like to, after 11 years and actual thankless work.
I love you too, Dan.
I love you too.
Oh wait, sorry. I thought that's where we were going.
Well, it's about love. I really think that you and I have been derelict in really bestowing praise, and honestly, they're the third member of the team But like the Invisible Editor
has
done is
What
like this
a
show would
champ.
not happen without them. They post every episode. They make sure all the links are there, and like to have found them and for them to just kind of work tirelessly to make sure our show happens. They're the most important part of this entire show, and I just wanted to thank them. On our last show,
we didn't bring them on until we got the WordPress, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's actually right. Yeah. So I thank you, WordPress. Did they come with WordPress?
One of the I would say the unnoticed gags of our website that there's a third person called Invisible Editor who does like all the work.
Right. It's us, dear listeners. We are the Invisible Editor. No one's surprised. Yeah.
Well, no, but it's this funny thing where this is the pretension of us. Like we're like, oh, isn't that a great thing? You did it. I was like, that's so brilliant. That's great. And they're like, we really were just tooting our own horn there. Yeah.
I mean, maybe with the idea that maybe we could just recruit like Taylor or someone to be the Invisible Editor so we could stop doing it. But of course, we would never foist that work onto someone else, especially since we're all doing it for free. Mm-hmm. I mean, so as we go out here, I think not to buck trends here, maybe we end on your week in geek. What kind of things are you doing to let everybody know that we're not stopping being stupid nerds?
I'm sorry. What have you been doing this last week? I've been doing a lot, and what I've been doing that's the most relevant is fucking depressing.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I finally got to watching Andor season 2.
Oh boy.
So it's just.
And how's that going for you, Andrew? Does Andor actually stand for I'm watching this new Star Wars show or I could be doing something else that makes me happy? Just joking. I heard the show's great. Actually,
no, it is actually. I think it's actually very excellent. It continues with the theme of Rogue One being an actual Star War, right? Right. I'd actually, one of the thoughts that I thought of would have been like the cool thing to say on the podcast is, and I'd also argue it's tonally of all the Star Wars things most inconsistent with the original Star Wars. In so much that the original Star Wars was George Lucas wants to make a space fantasy serial, right? He wants to make Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon, right? It's space wizards with laser swords fighting and whatever. This is war, motherfucker, right? This is
grounded. Yeah.
This is shit. And a lot of people really like it. And it's just funny. In fact, a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't like the new Star Wars, they really like this. And it's, kind of someone actually, I think I was talking to said, well, the thing is that all these Star Wars people grew up and they wanted Star Wars to grow up with them.
Right.
But that was never like the intent, at least not George's intent or even Disney's intent. Right.
Right.
So like the idea that here it is, though, it grew up with you. It's gritty. It's dark. It's depressing. It's, I mean, the idea that I walk away from an episode and I say like, wow, after big wars like World War II, I know we had like war crimes trials. Did we send allies to them as well? Right? Like, because there's a character, Luthen, for those who've seen, where like, and he even says he knows he does the things to create a world that he won't be part of. But like he does war crimes, and you kind of say, oh, but he does them for the good of the rebellion. But you're like, he does some shit,
right?
You're like, well, I'm asking that question after watching a Star War. It's such a what's your week in geek? Well, I'm watching the really grim, depressing, but also poignant Star War. So yeah, I actually I'm not going to go into it too much because there's a lot there. But I do think it's some good work. It's some great work. I actually just some of the hard questions that kind of get put there, some of the things they and it wasn't trying to be a commentary on the current situation because it was filmed and written years prior. But some of the things where you're like, wow, they just they punch hard. I will say. This is a spoiler. Dan, are you okay with a spoiler? You haven't seen it.
Yeah. That's okay.
There's this idea that like the first, couple episodes, we discover that Andor, Cassian Andor has kind of earned the ire of what is essentially a corporate cop.
Right.
Silas McShithead. I don't know what his last name is. And it's the idea that this guy then kind of becomes obsessed with catching this rebel. And it culminates in season 2 with a whole narrative, a whole story about him and what he's doing, including working with the Imperial Security Bureau, the ISB. And it kind of ends with their confrontation in episode 8 of season 2, where he finally finds Andor, and he in the middle of a fiery conflict in in a plaza where essentially a riot has broken out. There's gunplay. The Imperials are just murdering, just slaughtering people. And he sees Andor and he chases after him and tries to just go. He just goes to town. It's actually one of the more visceral fight sequences where it's just bam, bam, bam. And it ends with a line that for me, it's kind of shook me, where Andor looks up and just says, "Who are you?" And then the guy gets shot. And it's this idea that your whole life, for what we've seen, has been obsessed with this man that you've been hunting, and he doesn't know who you are. Yeah. It was sort of the vibe of Scarlet Witch in You Ruined My Life and Thanos saying, "I don't even know who you are."
Right. Yeah.
But without the gravitas of Thanos was an intergalactic warlord, right?
Right.
Andor was just a dude who did some rebel missions. You were a guy who's you obsessed over it, and actually a student I work with, I'm not going to name them, but she's a big Star Wars fan, and she actually said, "Yeah, that guy is the definition of pathetic."
Yeah,
and you're like, "Damn, yeah, someone who's spends their whole life obsessing over someone who doesn't even know who they are."
That's pretty hard, man. That's pretty hardcore.
So that's my hot week in geek.
So wait, how deep are you into the series?
I'm near the end. It's episode.
Okay.
I've seen episode 9. For those who don't know, that's
because 3 episodes. Then the time.
Yeah, 3 episodes at a time is the movie that he wants to make. So I'll say spoiler. Burp, burp, episode 9 is when Mon Mothma escapes Coruscant.
Okay. Do you feel like it's rushed at all? Because I know there's originally maybe a 3-season arc, but he's I'm old. I need to start making this, or else it's never going to happen.
I think it works. Okay. There's a lot of season 2 has a lot of every 3 episodes has a 1-year jump. Mm-hmm. And you could fill in stories in the middle, but it gets enough of we see where it's going, we see the stuff. And it works, right? Because we know where it's not we know it's not a happy ending. We know where this is going. Yeah. Rogue One came out first, which is kind of a happy ending, right?
Have you rewatched Rogue One?
No, I'm going to once I finish the last 3 episodes, because now it's I've seen all the, and also I've seen other stuff since then, right? The world is more filled. So I'm excited to watch it again, because it's actually, I always joke, it's it's probably my favorite of the movies, my favorite Star Wars, because it's actually about a Star Wars. It's an experience. I get it. I get why people like it. I enjoyed it. I think it's actually excellent. Again, I would say tonally inconsistent with Star Wars, but that's fine. In fact, it's good because it is, or it's better because it is. Yeah, so I would say if you haven't seen it and you are emotionally prepared for some troubling television, I'd say give it a spin. It's definitely worth the time if you like the Star Wars. If you've never seen Star Wars, it would be a tough watch. You're what's all with these funny blasters and shit, Anyway, that was me. I don't know, Dan. You got something to throw out, or you're just gonna?
I'm too busy, man. I got nothing on the last episode. I got
hit
nothing.
The panic episode on that.
No, there's a lot of stuff going on. Long John's final chapter has started updating on the website, longjohncomic.com.
The final chapter. Except it's all played with a Western guitar.
Oh yeah, ding a ding ding. I don't know. So that'll be. I mean, it's a long chapter, so it'll be going through the beginning of next year, with pre-orders for the book going up towards the end of the year. Other than that, like the thing that's been dominating what nerdy free time I've had has been playing the new game from Sucker Punch Studios for the PlayStation called Ghost of Yotei, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. And I might have even talked about it on the show before. I can't remember if I talked about it on the show before or if it's just what I talked about on our previous final episode. But it's in every single way a better game than that first one. In that the sort of the narrative static of that first one was like, oh, you're a samurai, but you got to do ninja shit, and that's bad. And you got to pick: are you going to be a righteous samurai? Or you're going to be a devilish ninja? And then that sort of narrative dissonance was like, well, you're doing both anyway because you got to fucking win the game. This one, it doesn't really have that problem. It's like your family was murdered by these 6 assholes. Go kill all of them. And it's pretty great, honestly.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. It's gorgeous. And especially as a recovering Japanophile from when I was in my teens, it's just scratching like that sort of cinematic historical itch in a way that it makes me feel good when I play it, albeit understanding that when I'm saying that, meaning that I'm just going around the countryside murdering folks. But they're bad people, from what I understand. So,
going around murdering folks spawned an entire Ubisoft series. So let's not get too concerned about that.
That's true. But it's just, they do a really good job of masking, or for lack of a better word, hiding sort of the Ubisoftness of the game. It is very much kind of an Ubisoft style open world game, but it's not like you open up your map and it's just piles of icons. They do a good job of just kind of actually embedding things in the world around you. So instead of having like object markers or destination markers pop up on the map, when you want to know where you need to go, you swipe up on the PlayStation pad, for lack of a better word, and just a gentle wind blows in a certain direction, and it's like, go that way. I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. And with the map, basically, they do have markers, but they kind of gate them behind certain cards. Basically, like, oh, which card do you want? Basically, your missions are your cards, and so you can cycle through the cards, and then whatever card you're looking at, it puts those markers on the map, and you can, it's just really nice. It's not intrusive, and it's not oppressive in terms of how it lays out this open world game, which I think is what a lot of open world games it's the trap they fall into. That I never feel like I'm running behind, or I'm it's never punishing me for just kind of exploring. And you have a shimasen, so that you can, as I'm walking around, I can just like pull out my Japanese guitar and just pluck a tune. And that's fucking great, man. And then you murder a dude, and then as soon as you're covered in blood and mud, I'm like, you know what?
And you play the guitar.
Right? Here's some Freebird. It's exactly what I need right now in terms of video games. And
that's Erika Ishii. Mm-hmm. Who,
they're doing a great job in terms of acting and performance, and just
this is my and back to me. I've invested a lot of time in the last 6 months on Dropout.tv, where they are a regular feature because they're part of that circle. Yeah. So I'm like, actually, like, it's kind of like, oh yeah, they're great. I want to see more of them. I've also watched Dropout.
Yeah, I could talk about. I've seen Frankenstein twice, the Del Toro movie, but Del Toro movies are very personal and like just like feels kind of shit. I don't really have much to say aside from it's a beautiful, well-made, disgusting movie. But that's Del Toro in a nutshell.
I mean, it's like it's that. Oh, that's what he does.
Yep, it's perfect. I love it. And the last thing I'll say, and this might be controversial for the final episode of the podcast, but I have been recruited. I'm not a host. I'm not doing any editing, but I am a part of an interesting upcoming podcast called the Text Adventure Book Club.
All right. Well, eat shit. Fuck you.
the idea of it, I was asked because apparently they wanted somewhat, the way they described me as the adult in the room. We're going to read books about video games, either like memoirs or like we've talked on the show before. Honestly, it's what we've talked about on the show that got them to reach out to me.
This is a whole thing where it's like, I really like doing this part of the show, and Andrew, you just weren't into it. I'm leaving you for another podcast.
I was super not necessarily interested in doing another podcast, but they're like, they never said like, hey, Dan, you do a podcast. Do you want to host and edit it? They never said that. They're just like, you want to talk about it? And like, how many, am I like the co-host? They're like, no, there's going to be 5 of us. I'm like, oh, again, nothing's been released. It might not ever come out. We'll see.
Yeah,
but I'm excited about just talking about it. And once a month, that's also nice.
I'm excited that you're excited.
Anyway, and the most important thing is that Andrew's not a part of it. And I just can't wait to just not talk to you.
Woo! Yeah. We're
just kidding. That's all fake. I'll cut that out.
No. It's actually. Please don't you dare cut it out. I think it's great.
But it's interesting to talk about, like, reading about video games, which I don't think a lot of people can conflate with people that play video games. And so there's a lot of really good stuff out there, especially right now, as people of our age grow up and write books about shit we loved as kids.
Right. No, it's and honestly, like, I know you love that. Like, that's your jam. So I would never tell you not to leave me for another cast.
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just actually I'm not leaving you. I'm leaving you. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. No. And to be clear, listeners, this is a gag. I kind of like that he mentioned it because I want this to sound like, oh my God, they're breaking up. Like, no,
right, we should edit in like the sound of receivers slamming down on phones.
I really do. Like, I honestly, I was kind of like, well, I'll just start my own cast. Like, I'll do Andrew talks about role playing games without his shithead friend Dan.
You should. Like, that's the thing. Like,
actually, I was. So the fun story about that is, I was thinking, I could do like one of these, like, a multitude of YouTube channels of people talking about role playing games.
Yeah.
And I realized one of the guys, I think I've mentioned Knights of Last Call.
Yes.
It's Derek Melenda, it's not just him, but he's the primary guy. And the joke is, first of all, another 40-something white guy talking about role-playing games. But honestly, I was watching one of his streams, and he, by the way, bless his heart, he doesn't do short things. He does like 6-hour streams.
Oh boy.
But what's funny is, and hey, it works. I was watching one kind of like in the background at work, and someone came in and saw him on the screen, and he's, again, white guy, beard, glasses, and they saw it and said, oh, is that a video of you? And I'm like, no. Well, the world doesn't need another one of us. No.
But that's the thing. I think you bring up an interesting point. Like, we've been doing this for so long. Like, we actually have a skill set as limited and as much as we dismiss it. And so, like, there's an interesting aspect of, do something long enough, like, it becomes easier. That, like, right. If you do have an idea, there's literally nothing stopping you.
I know. You don't have to pitch me. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, you're talking to the audience. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hey, audience.
But no, I was talking to you.
If you want to do something, you can commit to it and figure it out.
It's easy. Yeah. Just make sure you have a good microphone and you record locally. That's the biggest advice we can give you.
And it seems so weird that people don't do that, right? I'm so shocked by like premiere podcasts where someone sounds like they're recording through a piece of aluminum foil.
Yep, because that's how microphones work. You could at least a tin can and a string, but aluminum foil, sure.
I don't know. I was just looking for something different than from the bottom of a fucking well, which is what I said earlier. Anyway. But yeah,
so
there you go.
The lady from The Ring has a podcast.
Yeah, right. I mean, again, there's some shockingly bad podcasts.
Indeed.
No judgment.
There always have been. It's been a requirement of the field. I would like to reiterate, 11 years, very well spent. And I want to thank everybody who's listened, who's supported us, even people that maybe listened at the beginning have dropped off, people that picked us up late and have just started listening to us. I guess I could apologize for our erratic schedules for the last year, but it's been a year. The thing is, like, the erraticism, sure. the erratic nature of especially my life, but I know both of us have been going through stuff. It doesn't seem like it's changing anytime soon. So like this seemed like a good place to kind of put a pin in it. And like Andrew said, obviously if new Star Trek comes out, we got this avenue to come out and gab for a minute and a half. But of course I want to definitely thank you, Andrew, for going with me on this journey, for being an incredible nerdy and geeky co-host.
You're the best. No, it is honestly, it's been great. It really has.
It has.
We'll title this episode "What You Leave Behind."
There we go.
Oh wait, no, someone else already did that.
Yeah.
Shit. No, we're gonna call this episode "All Good Things."
Or I can say once more with feeling, because it is our second final episode. So until you, dear listeners, again, going back to what we said earlier, find an avenue to not just speak your voice, but be heard, to add your voice to the discussion, to keep things moving forward instead of just trying to stick shit to the wall. Until you do that, I am D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And for all intents and purposes,
that was a podcast.
It's like, Dan, do you just want to hang out and talk on the phone? Maybe.
Like maybe you just don't.
You don't have to
record
pretend
it.
to forget to record or save. At least we get to say this once more with feeling.
Where do we go from here? And you're like, oh, I know so much about how body parts work. I wrote a book where a boy turned into a girl with magic potion. And you're like,
I mean, she wrote that book on napkins, Andrew. Have some respect. I am recording. Yes, I am recording. Let's move all the cursors away.
and don't fuck it up.
The nice thing is that we're not just going to straight down the drain. We're going to spin around it for a minute.
We're gonna spin. Down the drain. Down the political drain.
Well done. That was good.